Have you ever trusted a friend only to find yourself betrayed when you least expected it? What if I told you that your biggest threats might not come from your enemies, but from the very people you trust the most? And even more surprising, your enemies may be more reliable than your friends. Sounds shocking, right? But that's exactly what Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power teaches us in Law Second. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. In today's video, we'll unravel the truth behind this law, why it's so crucial, and how you can apply it to your life. Whether you're navigating office politics, business ventures, or personal relationships, this law will change how you approach trust, betrayal, and the dynamics of power. By the end of this video, you'll understand why trusting your enemies can be a strategic advantage, and why trusting friends too much can destroy you. Friendship, a word that brings comfort and warmth. But what happens when that trust becomes your downfall? Let's face a cold, hard truth. Trusting your friends too much can blind you to their real intentions. It can leave you vulnerable to betrayal, manipulation, and sabotage. Here's the uncomfortable reality. Friends, because of their closeness, are more likely to let their emotions, like jealousy, insecurity, and competition, affect their behavior toward you. You may trust them with your deepest secrets, your ambitions, and your plans for the future. But what happens when their envy turns into silent resentment? When their loyalty wavers and you don't see it coming? Take, for example, the friend you confide in about a promotion at work. Instead of supporting you, they might quietly envy your success. They may even spread rumors or subtly undermine you without you ever suspecting. It's not always malicious. Sometimes, they don't even realize what they're doing, but the impact is the same. Trusting friends too much can leave you blindsided. The truth is, human nature is unpredictable. The people closest to you often feel entitled to your success, or take it personally when you outgrow them. And when this happens, they might turn on you when you least expect it. Now here's the part that will make you rethink everything. Your enemies can be more reliable than your friends. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it's one of the most profound truths in the game of power. Why? Because enemies don't hide their feelings. Their hatred, rivalry, or opposition is out in the open. You know where they stand, and they know where you stand. There's no pretense, no emotional strings. That makes them predictable, and predictability is something you can control. Let me tell you a story. Abraham Lincoln, one of the most respected presidents in U.S. history, understood this very well. When he became president, instead of filling his cabinet with loyal friends, he appointed his political enemies. Why? Because he knew they would work harder to prove themselves. He turned his enemies into his strongest allies. By using them, he neutralized their threat and strengthened his position of power. The brilliance of using enemies is that when they become allies, they often work harder than your friends ever would. Friends take your success for granted. Enemies, on the other hand, feel they need to earn your trust. And this dynamic can turn them into one of your greatest assets in your rise to power. But why do friends become dangerous over time? The answer lies in expectations. Friendships come with emotional baggage. Friends often expect leniency, favors, or forgiveness when they fall short. They know you personally, and because of this, they may feel entitled to benefits or ask for more than you're willing to give. In many cases, when you rely too much on friends, you risk sabotaging your success. They may not work as hard as they would for a stranger or an enemy, because they expect you to overlook their flaws. After all, you're their friend, right? Take a moment to think about this. How many times have you seen someone hire a friend, only to realize that their friend wasn't qualified for the job? Now they're stuck in a dilemma. Do they fire their friend and ruin the relationship, or keep them on and risk damaging their career? It's a difficult position to be in. Enemies, on the other hand, have no such expectations. They don't expect special treatment or favors. In fact, they expect to prove themselves to you. This difference in expectations makes them easier to manage and much less likely to let personal feelings get in the way of business. Now that you understand why trusting friends too much can be dangerous, let's talk about how you can strategically use your enemies to your advantage. The key to using enemies lies in control. You must be the one who extends the olive branch. When you offer an enemy a chance to work with you, It gives you the upper hand. They now owe their success to you, which shifts the power dynamic in your favor. One of the most effective ways to use enemies is by offering them a second chance. This strategy is especially useful if your enemy feels isolated or has something to gain from your success. By showing mercy or giving them an opportunity to redeem themselves, you transform them into a loyal ally. And because they were once your enemy, they are more likely to work hard to ensure they don't lose the second chance you've given them. Here's a practical example. Imagine you're in a competitive work environment. Instead of fighting your rival head-on, offer to collaborate on a project. By doing this, you neutralize the threat and gain an ally who is now invested in both your success and theirs. They'll work harder, knowing that this collaboration is their ticket to survival. But remember, subtlety is key. You're not letting them into your inner circle right away. You're giving them a chance to prove themselves. This way, you maintain control, and they remain grateful for the opportunity you've given them. This law isn't just for kings, presidents, or CEOs. It applies to everyone, whether you're navigating office politics, friendships, or business ventures. Let's look at some real-life examples of how people have applied this law. Steve Jobs, the visionary behind Apple, experienced this firsthand. After being ousted from the company he founded, he didn't rely on friends to regain his position. Instead, he made strategic decisions and even used former rivals to help him return. When he came back to lead Apple, he understood the power dynamics better and didn't let personal feelings cloud his judgment. In politics, alliances shift constantly. Rivals in one election often become allies in the next. Why? Because power isn't about personal feelings. It's about survival. Today's enemy might be tomorrow's key to success. So, how can you apply this law in your life? Start by identifying the people you consider rivals or enemies. Ask yourself, is there a way to turn them into allies? Can you find common ground or offer them something they need? Remember, this isn't about blind trust. It's about strategic thinking. By turning your enemies into assets, you neutralize their threat and build a stronger network of support around you. In the end, mastering the second law of power isn't about cutting off friendships or avoiding trust. It's about understanding the dynamics of trust and power. Friends can be unpredictable, and the expectations they carry can sabotage your success if you're not careful. Enemies, on the other hand, can become valuable allies when used strategically. So next time you find yourself in a position where you must choose who to trust, pause. Consider the benefits of using an enemy instead of leaning too heavily on friends. It's not about who you trust. It's about how you use them. If you found this lesson insightful, hit the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for more lessons from Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. Remember, the game of power isn't about force. It's about subtlety, strategy, and control.